Welcome to Elizabeth Reads. Today I have Jemima Small versus the Universe. We are now on chapter 32, Gravitational Pull. Outside the psychic fair, Miki and I sat by Willow's vegan burger van while Luna was telling her last fortune of the day inside. No one gave me a second glance. Maybe because my rainbow hair was kind of conservative compared to how some people looked. One man had tattoos covering every centimeter of his face. Dad would totally freak out if I did that. "So, what do you think?" I asked Miki, still picturing Mystic Avani's eyes glittering behind specks of dust and the words, "You'll find what you've been looking for." "A bit weird," Miki said, and took a huge gulp of Fanta. He put his hand to his chest like he was waiting to see if a burp was coming. I'd known Miki long enough to know it probably was. "It sort of tastes like baked beans." "I meant the palm reader, Miki, not the burger." He licked ketchup off his fingers and said, "Well, I think she's right. I definitely could be a famous actor one day." "And what she said about my mum?" I don't know," Miki said. "She didn't actually say mum, did she? And you haven't been looking for her, so..." I put my half-eating burger down and stared at the floor. "I mean, she probably meant your mum, though. Like, whoever she meant, probably your mum. It's definitely good news." His phone beeped. "That'll be my mum." "Oh, no, what?" "It's Lottie." He held up his phone. "Lottie, hey, downloaded this if you want to watch it one day next week." She'd sent him a picture of the Mary Poppins film. Immediately, I felt sick. Not because Lottie was generally bile-inducing, but because I knew what she was trying to do. The same thing she'd done with Alina. Just the thought of not having Miki as my friend anymore felt like being in outer space when your oxygen tanks exploded. I fiddled with the ring pull on my can. "What are you going to say?" I don't know," Miki said. "Hanging out with Lottie would be bad. Let's see what the word doctor suggests." He tapped his phone. "What about..." "Sorry, Lottie, that would be distressing." I laughed and shook my head. "Too strong? Okay, how about that would be execrable?" What does that even mean? It means extremely bad. It comes from the Latin word execrabilis, which means deserving of curses. It's probably a bit harsh, even for Lottie Freeman. I took a bite of my burger and thought for a moment. I know, put soporific. That just means boring. Well, literally, it means sleep-inducing, because sopor means sleep in Latin, so Miki put his phone down and stared at me. "What? Have I got ketchup on my face?" "Jemima Small, if you don't get through to brainiacs, I'll eat 1,000 veggie burgers." When I got home, the first thing I noticed was Dad's face. It was like he'd seen a ghost, only what he'd actually seen was my phosphorescent hair. "What on earth have you done to your hair?" he said, leaping off the sofa faster than I'd seen a mammal move in my entire life. "Jemima!" Jasper shot out of his room and halfway down the stairs. "Uh-oh, Jemima's gone rogue." I shot him the death stare. "What have you done?" Dad said again, even louder. He looked pretty angry, so I decided the best idea was to deny all knowledge. "My hair? What do you mean?" And walked to the mirror. "Oh, what's happened?" I felt quite pleased with how my acting was going. Maybe some of Miki's talent had rubbed off on me. "Dad, I honestly have no idea how this happened." Dad shook his head at me, not in a good way. "Luna, can you explain this?" Luna came in and put her bag down. "Yes, she's beautiful." Dad shook his head again, even harder. I warned him he could damage his brain doing that. He didn't appreciate my concern. "Right, you'd better start explaining yourself, Jemima. I told you, no hair dye, and look at you." I swallowed. "There was this old lady at the fair." Dad put his hand on his forehead and closed his eyes. "I don't think I want to hear this." "She must have been a witch. She read my palm, and afterwards I felt kind of dizzy. Now I think about it, she did briefly touch my hair. You were right about the witches at those fairs, Dad." "Hey," Luna said, jabbing Dad in the ribs. He sidestepped away from her. "A spell," he said, "on your hair." "It does happen sometimes at the fairs, Dad. You said it yourself. They attract some right weirdos." "Ryan," Luna said, "I cannot believe you said that to Jemima about my friends." "I didn't say that. I said interesting characters." I caught his eye to let him know I knew he was lying. "Anyway, Jemima, I've never heard such nonsense in all my life, and in this family, that is really saying something." I turned back to face the mirror. "It's not my fault. I had a spell put on me." Luna stroked my hair and winked at me in the mirror. "You know, Ryan, I have seen this sort of thing happen before." Dad sighed. "Luckily, this doesn't look like a permanent spell to me. This is the type that should just wash out." She kissed the top of my head. "Let's hope so, or you're not going to the restaurant tomorrow, birthday or not." Dad pointed to the stairs. "Off you go." As I went upstairs, Jasper whispered, "Your head looks like an Easter egg." I knocked my bag against him as I walked past and said, "Accident." I went straight into the bathroom and turned the shower on, but I could hear them talking about me downstairs, so I crept onto the landing and listened. "Ryan, it's not a big deal," Luna was saying. "So she colored her hair for one day. She's 13 tomorrow. So what if she wants to dye her hair? I don't know why you're so annoyed about it." I smiled. Luna always stuck up for me against Dad's oppression. "You used to dye your fringe bright blue. I was in college when I did that." "That actually makes it worse," Luna said, laughing. "Jemima's not hurting anybody." "She hurt my eyes," Jasper said. "I'll never unsee that." Dad sighed so hard I could practically feel the floorboards vibrating. "Keep out of this, Jasper. It's just with all this weight stuff." He said the word weight quietly, like it was a bad word. "I don't want her drawing unnecessary attention to herself, you know. I mean, it's already been in the paper, and dyeing her hair 7 shades of ridiculous, I don't want people..." I went into the bathroom and closed the door. I didn't want to hear anything else. I got undressed, stood in the shower, and let the water dilute my tears. Neon colors swirled down the plug hole like a rainbow melting away, until all that was left were gray-blue bubbles from my shampoo. Later, I knocked on Jasper's door and asked to borrow his portable CD player. He half opened the door and said, "Can't you just use the one downstairs?" "No, Jasper, it's a revision CD. I need it for studying." "I don't know where it is." "Fine, guess I'll have to tell Dad tornado's missing." "Shh, okay. He reached his arm behind the door, then handed me a CD player. "Don't break it." Back in my bedroom, I rummaged in Mom's box until I found it. There was a crack across the case, but the CD inside looked okay. I put my lamp on, lay on my bed, plugged in my headphones, and pressed play. The songs had that grainy, old-fashioned kind of sound, like they should be played on a record player. The first song was about a moon made out of paper, which wouldn't be heavy enough to stay in a planet's gravitational pull. I was going to turn it off and watch a film, but then a song came on called "Dream a Little Dream of Me." It had lyrics about fading stars and sunbeams and feeling alone and missing someone, and they didn't seem so unrealistic. I pressed pause, but I could still hear the song playing because I remembered Mom's voice singing it to me. I remembered the light I used to have by my bed with little star shapes cut out of the lampshade that made my ceiling look like the Milky Way, the same ceiling I was looking at now. I remembered how it felt to have Mom's arms around me and her soft French tones singing that song to me over and over again. I pulled off my headphones and sat up. I stayed like that for ages, staring into space, thinking about the Earth, about how its surface area is almost 200 million square miles, and how somewhere, right now, in one of those square miles was my mom. I still felt her gravitational pull, that feeling of belonging with her that never really went away, even when she did. And that's when I felt it. It was an unmistakable feeling, one I'd felt before, one that sent goosebumps over my skin and a chill over my heart and made me think that Mystica Vani knew what she was talking about when she said I'd find something. Only she wasn't talking about my mom. "Jasper!" I shouted as loudly as I could whilst keeping my head perfectly still. "Jasper!" The floorboards creaked outside my room and the door opened. A beam of yellow light spilled onto my carpet. "Jemima, I'm trying to practice a trick. You'd better not have broken my CD player. What is it?" "Not what is it," I said. "Who is it?" I carefully pointed to my head and gave Jasper the strongest evils of my life. Jasper moved closer and gasped as Tornado's hairy legs walked slowly down the side of my face. "All 8 of them." "Jasper," I said through my clenched jaw, "I am literally going to kill you." That is the end of chapter 32. I hope you will join me next time for chapter 33, Full Moon. Bye-bye.